Jim's been staring at FL Studio for hours. He doesn't understand why the tune he's been working on for months still sounds so bad. He's been editing the same snare for 3 hours, now everything just sounds the same. And every edit he makes doesn't fit the tune. He gives up after 5 hours of achieving nothing, and he goes ahead and orders a takeaway, plays video games, because he feels like he's earned it. Olympus. Olympus has just finished at the gym. He had a music playlist on at the gym and now he feels inspired. He checks his timetable to see 2 hours allotted to music production. He sits down at his studio and downloads a few of the tunes he was listening to for reference tracks. He opens up FL Studio, opens up his project template and starts to produce. He arranges some drums he already had pre-saved in his sample folder, creates some melodies and basses, finds some inspired vocals, and within 2 hours he's got the basic foundations to a track. He saves the file, adds it to his work in progress folder, and moves on to the next task on his timetable. You might be able to relate to this as a musician. When I first started producing many years ago, there was one thing that I kept feeling, and this was every 2 to 3 months I'd look back on previous productions I'd made and I'd sort of cringe at how bad they were compared to the progress I've made now. I'd think to myself, wow, I've really improved. That's called growth. That's the beauty of dedicating yourself and achieving something every time you put your mind to it. Let's imagine Jim. He plays a lot of video games, he likes to party, but every now and then he'll load up his DAW and try to produce a tune. He has no plan, he just sits there for hours trying to come up with something good. He also doesn't really feel great about himself from all the over-absorption that video games and partying have given him. Sometimes he gets lucky and sometimes he's able to create a tune, but this is rare. And most of the time the tune he ends up finishing isn't to a high enough standard that he would like in order to release the tune. Jim closes the door, upset by the fact that he's not been able to produce anything, and goes back to his old habits of instant gratification. He loads up his PlayStation, or he goes on a night out because that makes him feel better in the moment than the failure at producing gave him. Olympus. He has structure to his day. He has a timetable for each hour of his day. He is passionate about music production, but also has the humility to understand that he has lots of other areas to improve on, such as the fundamentals like mental health, exercise, and lifting weights. When you have a timetable and dedicate that specific time to that, you have more time to complete other things. Olympus allots himself 2 hours every day to produce music and starts a brand new tune every single session. However, unlike Jim, when he comes to work on his DAW, instead of simply sitting at his door expecting magic to happen and a tune to produce itself, he has a plan. He has his reference tracks ready. He has all his music samples organized perfectly so that he can produce the basic structure of his tunes in minutes. He then leaves himself so much time to spam creative ideas into the tune. After 5 2-hour sessions, he's created 5 tunes. That's something Jim doesn't have. He has choice. He can pick his favourite tune from the 5 he's created and then decide which tune he wants to finish. He'll then mix and master that tune. He feels good about himself. In the time between his 2 sessions, he hasn't been playing video games or partying. He's been working on himself, meditating, journaling, finally running that 5k he's been aiming for so long, hitting new personal bests in the gym. He's managed to make 5 potential tunes whilst also achieving so much. This gives Olympus confidence to share his productions on social media, to grow as an artist on all social platforms. To be a music producer isn't just about making tunes, it's about developing a brand and reaching as many followers as possible. You can be the best producer in the world, but if no one listens to your music, you'll never make it. But Jim isn't convinced. Surely after 12 hours of producing non-stop, you'll eventually have a tune. Surely 2 hours a day isn't enough. All 6 tracks will be terrible, won't they? But what if I tell you that you'll be so efficient at creating tracks that 2 hours is plenty of time to get those initial ideas down. And of course, you'll eventually dump most of the tracks that you've made in those 2-hour periods, but occasionally you'll get 1 or 2 that are really good and that you can finish. Will that not be better than spending 12 hours on one tune that you'll probably never finish? That will probably get dumped itself? It's worth a thought. And you'll come to realise that it's actually more fun this way. I challenge you to try something like this. Think about your future self every time you go to produce. Notice the changes and make the transition you deserve. You'll make mistakes at the start, but as long as you don't quit, as long as you keep trying, you maybe start with less sessions and build yourself up. You'll eventually reach a position where you look back and think, wow, I've improved so much. It's guaranteed that as long as you don't quit, you'll make progress. You'll become your future self before you know it. Scroll down right now and hit that share button underneath this video. Send the video to a friend who might like to hear it. Remember, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts.